Hey family, and welcome back for yet another furniture makeover. On today, I'll be transforming this arch cabinet. Now, I took a vote and you all voted and it was almost unanimous. Everyone was voting arch cabinet, and literally this is the one that I was actually leaning towards, so I'm not even mad about it. Now, I was not motivated by profit because I'm actually going to be keeping this for our home. I've been sitting on this project for about 3 years now, no exaggeration, and it's just been in our garage collecting dust, literally. And so this is the reason why I haven't been able to get to it. You can see here the mirror is missing. Now, I do have a plan. I've always had a plan. I just didn't have the resources to get what I needed to fill this part in, okay? And actually, that's why this cabinet was even given to me in the first place. My friend, she broke the mirror, or someone broke the mirror, and she was like, I know somebody who can take care of that. She passed it my way, and we're going to get this piece all the way back together. So I'm excited. I don't want to just drag this on. I just wanted to say thank you if you're new here. Thank you for joining the family. We've hit 8K and we're on our way up. I know that last video I gained over 100 new subscribers, so welcome. I appreciate you all. And if you haven't checked out that video, please be sure to do so either before or after this one. I recommend before, but I'll leave that up to you. Okay, so jumping right in, I've already removed any hardware that I've seen. The light was unscrewed a little bit so that I could tape that off better. And here's that literal dust that I was talking about earlier. This is 3 years worth of packed on dust, y'all. Sanding dust, everything. So I'm gonna get that off first using just plain water, and then I'm gonna come back with a TSP substitute. And then I noticed there was some glass shreds still left in the cabinet. When this was actually given to me, the mirror was still in there, but it was all broken up. I was trying to leave it in there so that whenever this video came, we could just do that together and it could add to the content, but you guys get the idea. It was a broken mirror, so I just went ahead and cleaned it out one day off camera, and years later, here I am actually getting to the project. So I have a tendency to want to do things on my own, and I was gonna go ahead and attempt to lay this thing out, but I could not do it. I was scared. Okay, so I used wisdom and I went to go grab my husband, and we got it laid down. I just put it on top of some nightstands, and this is where things get a little, I don't even know if the word is controversial, but maybe it might, because I think you guys are going to think I'm crazy for doing this, but I left the glass intact because I just didn't really, I've never dealt with a piece like this, and that's for one. And for two, I did notice that there was some glass glue on the glass itself. So I was trying to picture myself taking out the rubber seal around the edges and then removing the glass from the glue and then having to put everything back together. And I just thought it would be easier to just work around it, tape around it. And you'll kind of see what direction I ended up going in later. And I'll tell you guys, my advice to you, what I would do differently. I'm always going to share my mistakes, as sometimes as embarrassing as they may be, because this one tried me. But nonetheless, this is what happened, and I'm just going to show you guys what happened. Okay, so here I am sanding the entire piece, and this didn't really challenge me. Sanding it with the glass intact was fine. It was the next step that kind of challenged me. Okay, so at this point, I literally have no regrets. Okay, so I did have to do some hand sanding in the corners, and I had to make sure to get all of the flaky material off. And then I did do 2 small bondo repairs. And then I was showing you guys, here's what it's looking like after. And that was all on day 1. We're making great progress so far. And so I went ahead and decided to go a step further and get all of the outside taping done. And I really didn't have any regrets yet. It wasn't until day 2 that I felt like I was questioning all of my decisions. So I hope I don't lose any credibility, because honestly, it did make sense to me to tape it off for the reasons that I shared earlier. But in reality, it just wasn't wisdom. And I think the only reason that made it not make sense is because I was keeping the mirror. If I weren't keeping the mirror, I think I would have been okay. I've seen plenty of people do the arch cabinet makeover, and not too many people have kept the mirror. So it just never dawned on me that you're gonna see a reflection of what's behind you in the mirror when you're standing back. You know what I mean? If I don't know if I said that clear, but I will definitely show you guys what I mean later. I taped it up. All right, so this is the infamous pole wrap that made its debut in my last video for the first time ever. This is what's left over of that. And this was, like I said, always the plan. When I had this arch cabinet, I just could never afford to get the pole wrap. This pole wrap is pushing $80. It was like $70 before tax, so probably like $75 after tax. And I told you guys I would probably never touch it again, or it'd be a long time, or whatever the case, but I did remember that I needed it for this project. So after this project, I couldn't tell you the next time I used pole wrap, but just know I actually am really in love with this product, okay? All right, so the first thing we have to do is measure it, and I measured it off camera, but I just wanted to make sure I'm showing you guys the steps. So measure it, and then you're gonna put your painter's tape around it so you can get a nice clean cut, and then you're going to take it to your table saw. And I keep forgetting that you guys can't really see anything from this angle, so bear with me. But once I got that cut, I had to also measure the height, and then I came back and, or not the height, I'm sorry. Wait, now I'm confusing myself. Well, either way, I had to make my cut, and then I came back and made the second measurement, and then I used my scissors to make the second cut. And the real flex is I did not have to use wood glue. So I was able to just use my nail gun, which last time my controversy was I didn't want to use the nail gun and only use wood glue. Well, in this case, I'm using the nail gun and no wood glue, but it was a lot easier. This space was much bigger to work with. And so the only challenge was really trying to get the measurements while the arch cabinet was on its back, because I really didn't want to let the door just hold its own weight, because it's not really designed to carry weight that way. It's supposed to be standing up vertically. So I guess that was the main challenge. And I have a tendency to want to do things on my own. I think this would work better if you're using a partner, but I got it done and it came together. Okay, so quick disclaimer, please excuse my voice. It's kind of going out a little bit and I definitely need some water, but my daughter's out there and like, you guys know how that goes. She can't see me right now. It's just me and her at the house. I'm trying to knock this out for you guys so I can get this uploaded more quickly than later, or whatever the case. But I decided to go ahead and like pry the bottom out so that I could get the pole wrap in there, and that was going to be how I was going to get it stapled. So at this point, it's not even attached, it's just in there, and I think it looks great. So I'm going to come around with my nail gun and get it adhered to the actual cabinet. And I thought it was so funny watching this back, because you guys, if you watched that last video, you know the struggle, okay? And I was determined not to experience that again. So every nail I had to go and check to make sure everything was okay, and then I would nail it again and we're going to check to make sure it's okay, and so on and so forth. So we got it in there, everything was okay. I didn't see a blemish, and I'm so grateful for that. Okay, so that completes day 2 of taping. Y'all already know how I feel, so I'm not even gonna address that. But for primer, I'm using my Ben Shellac Base Primer. I decided to roll it on today, mostly because I'm running out, so I didn't want to put that in my sprayer. And then, I don't know if you guys have ever experienced it, but once your sprayer is running low, it doesn't spray the same and all the things. So I went ahead and rolled it because I knew I had more than enough to roll. And once that was on there, it didn't take long for it to dry. I did go ahead and sand it by hand. I like to use a 400 grit sandpaper. It gives me the smoothest finish that I can get in between coats. So I did that, and then I wiped away all of that sanding dust, and finally we were ready to paint. So I have quite a bit to say about the painting process, okay? First of all, I'll be using black. If you know me, if I'm ever keeping a piece for my home, 9 times out of 10, it's gonna be black. I'm also going to be using Decoglo, which is the same paint that I typically have been reaching for because it's the cheapest quart size paint that I could find. And it also is very durable. I really have a lot to say about its durability. But lastly, I want to say I am using an eggshell finish. This particular paint does not come in a satin finish. And I've never used their eggshell finish because I've never been fond of the idea of a dull finish because they're typically more prone to scuffs. But I did know I did not want to use their semi-gloss, which is what I typically use. And it's beautiful. I just don't like that look for my home. I don't know, I think the more matte look is more polished and more elevated. I don't know if that's the case. That's just my opinion. I don't know. I just prefer it. Okay. So, but this paint, I do appreciate this paint because it's very affordable. And I just kind of wanted to share the backstory about how I even came upon Dunn Edwards paints. There was a car in the background. I'm so sorry. But listen, so when I first started furniture flipping, I really didn't know what I was doing. I was trying to follow everyone else's method, and everyone else was using chalk paint. And with chalk paint comes top coats. And all it takes for me is really just one bad experience. Honestly, that's even why I was hesitant to remove the glass, going back to that again, because it's something I've never done. And I had one bad experience where I removed doors from a piece, or actually two experiences, but it was so hard to put it back together. And when it comes to things like that, I'd rather just not go that route. Okay, so with that, I used to use chalk paint, and then I used top coats, and I had a few bad experiences, and I was on the hunt high and low for a paint that was just strong enough to stand on its own without a top coat. And no one back then was using any type of latex paint. That was just like really unheard of. But I was like, well, I'm gonna just do it because they're saying you don't need a top coat. So I found a product that I really liked, and it was sold through another store. And that particular store, I don't know, I just didn't really feel the most comfortable. The employee, I can't even say employees, but there's a particular employee, he just didn't make me feel the most comfortable. So I had to find another store. Now, nothing against that product because I love that product. I just couldn't find it in any other local stores around me. There was one in Manteca, but that's like another couple cities over. So I was like, okay. I went around. I went to Sherwin-Williams. They were great, but I went to Dunn Edwards and they were excellent. No shade to Sherwin-Williams. I probably shouldn't even name drop. I don't have anything against them. I really don't. But I will say it was a one-of-a-kind experience when I went into Dunn Edwards. The guy was very friendly. It wasn't giving weird. He was just very friendly, and he really helped me out. And I told him what I was looking for, which is a paint that could stand on its own. He gave me his recommendations. He printed out some specs of this particular paint. It was Evil Eclipse. You guys have heard that on my channel plenty of times before. But not only that, he went a step further and he was like, here, I'm going to let you take this gallon for free. Tell me how you like it and we'll go from there. And that blew my mind because at that time in the business, I was struggling real bad. I didn't really have any money to get anything. And that 1 gallon of paint really just changed the whole momentum for me. And it was just up from there. Eventually, I ended up going viral on Instagram using his product, and he was very supportive of that and also gave me a few more items for free, and I just felt loyal to the soil ever since. Now, he's no longer there, but I just appreciate that because it was a monumental moment for me in this industry. I probably would have given up had I not come into that paint. Yeah, it was a really hard time. So that's why I'm so faithful to Dunn Edwards. But this paint in particular is very affordable and it gets the job done. It's very durable. Okay, so check them out. You can get this quart for maybe $15, at least where I'm at. Okay, so if you see me shaking my head, that's because this paint gun doesn't like to be tilted. This is not a gravity-fed paint gun. It's a siphon-fed, so the paint sprays from the bottom up. And it likes to be held vertically. It doesn't like to be tilted up or down or any which way. So it made things a little bit difficult. And I did come back and lay it flat and paint it on its back like the next day. But just know I struggled, okay? This project really challenged me in many areas, but I'm just so glad to have it finally done. But really quick, I just wanted to go back to the durability of this paint. And I just want to give it a quick shout out because I've always known it to be pretty durable in my experience with painting other pieces for other people, but I've never known it from personal experience. This is the first piece that I'm keeping that I've used this paint. So I staged it a couple days after I finished it, and then I came back and I took the staging decor out so I can complete the video that I'm making for you guys. And when I lifted the vase, it's a very heavy vase that I had on that bottom shelf, I just knew it was going to be some residue or some sticking taking place. And when I say I lifted that vase and there was nothing there, I was completely shocked. It was a risk I was willing to take. I thought it was just going to be a little mark and I was going to have to just cover it back up, but not at all. So it hasn't been 30 days, which is what the paint recommends. So I just wanted to let you guys know that. Okay, I can explain. So when I took the tape off, I noticed that the rubber didn't look good because it's not black. I don't know. I didn't think about this because in my head, I said, if I'm going to take the glass out, I'm going to take the rubber out. And if I'm taking the rubber out, it's not going to be painted anyway. So when I taped the entire piece, I decided to cover up the rubber because I was trying to like picture, you know what I mean? Like if I would have taken the rubber out, it wouldn't have been painted anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and not paint the rubber. Well, it didn't look good because it wasn't black. And then the mirror shows you that reflection that I was talking about earlier. So beyond just the rubber, I painted the rubber and it still didn't look good because now you could see the wood behind the glass and it just didn't look good. So I ended up not only painting all of the rubber, I had to come back, take all of the rubber back out, take all of the glass out, and then come back and take the arch cabinet back outside and paint it. And it just felt like the biggest waste of time. But I want you guys really to learn from my example, from my mistakes. And I tried to not be too down on myself and take it as a learning experience. That's what my husband encouraged me to do. Okay, so I'm going to take it as a learning experience. So next time when I have a client that wants me to do a commission piece, I won't be making these mistakes, okay? These rookie mistakes. This is crazy to me. But I didn't really film the whole entire process because if I'm honest, I had to hold my breath the entire time because this glass was very thin and it was just giving me anxiety. I hate to claim that, but that's what it was giving. I had so many close calls where I nicked and banged the mirror up against the glass and the glass up against another glass, and even putting the shelves in was challenging. It was a lot, and I did most of this on my own. I think my husband helped me with like 2 glasses. So it stressed me out, but in a minute here, I'm going to fast forward to the staging decor part, and then we're going to get to see the final results. Thank you so much if you made it this far. I appreciate you. It has been a long journey, girl, but we made it. Okay, so everything there on the right where the pampas grass is, that's all Walmart. The white vase is Target, and everything on the left is Shopping My Home, okay? Thank you so much for watching. Again, if you made it this far, I appreciate you. If you're not already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like, comment, and share, and I'll see you in my next one.
Whoa, please.